wanted to welcome everybody today to a really, really special session on getting ready to write a novel with real world advice from some well-known published authors who are also coaches at the Novelry. Now, this is such an important stage in your writing journey because at the Novelry, we want to make sure that writers have at least 3 weeks to prepare themselves and their idea before they start writing. So, this session is a chance for our best-selling and award-winning author team to share their real-life approach to finding that idea and getting ready to write a novel.
I keep a notebook that I call a concept notebook, and I write down 7 ideas a day. They don't have to be good ideas. They can be, I'm on the tube, like something about a doctor, something set in a lighthouse, two dogs, it can, like, absolutely no judgment, just 7 things. And they might end up being a setting, they might end up being a character, they might end up being a relationship, something that I've read about in the news. I would write that down in my notebook. And I use that kind of judgment free, just free writing technique whenever I get stuck. How should I escalate this plot? Okay, I'll set a timer for 2 minutes and just write anything down, and because it's sort of after you've run out of steam almost, you think I've used up all of the ideas I have in my brain, but that's when sometimes the more creative solutions come out. And some of them will be completely hopeless, but then somewhere in there, your brain will just give you something that you didn't even know was in there.
My method is to audition 2 or 3 different ideas, a bit like speed dating. You don't want to be saddled with a partner that you're not going to get on with, do you? And the same thing with a novel. You don't want to commit to a novel that 3 months down the line you're going to think, no, 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 this isn't the right one. So I audition them, and any one of them could turn out to be the one. And the way I start, I like to keep an online journal. And I really just unspool the contents of my chaotic mind. And trust me, it's chaos in there. It really is. And I mean, if anyone were to read this journal, they'd think, my God, of course, how can she call herself a writer? It's madness. But it's just like a stream of consciousness. If I've got a particular character that I'm drawn to, I might be writing about that character, situations where it's going to be. I might have some ideas of key scenes. And I'm really just experimenting and writing all the things that could happen. And I find that in the process of writing those down, fresh plot ideas start coming to me. And it's just the act of writing, or typing rather, it just generates more and more ideas.
What fuels me in the way that I start all of my novels, even for the books that I concept for other people, are things that make me pissed off. I would say that I was a little Harriet the Spy as a child with a little petty notebook, and I have turned into an adult that also lives in a petty palace with her petty archives. And I just write down all the things that are making me mad. And then I try to dig into why, like, why now? Why this? Or even I'll go back to some of my teenage journals and revisit 16-year-old me and why I was so aggrieved, and use some of that pettiness. Because for me to stay tethered to the page, I need something in my tank that will get me from A to Z. And for me, usually that's adding tinder to my petty, angry fire. And then I usually build all my worlds and characters around that thing that's like really frustrating me and creating an emotional response for me, because I want my reader to have an emotional response.
Challenge yourself to push the boundaries. You could make a cheese sandwich, right? Bear with me. And it would be fine. It would be nice. You'd enjoy it. You could give it to guests. Everyone would be fed. What's not to love about bread and butter and cheese? But you could also elevate that sandwich. You could add mustard to it. You could grill it. You could put in a little bit of caramelized onion, maybe try some apple. You could make that sandwich in a way that no one else has made a cheese sandwich before. And then it won't just be a sandwich, it will be this kind of taste explosion. And I suppose at this stage, when I'm chasing down an idea for my next novel, that's what I want to achieve.
So when I have an idea to write a book, it has to be really good. And by really good, I mean it has to be an idea that haunts you day and night, that you can't stop thinking about in your free moments, like in the shower, walking the dog, or whatever. And I don't make notes because I really believe in survival of the fittest when it comes to ideas. The idea has to be so lodged in your subconscious that it just won't leave you alone. Then the more I start to think about that idea, I realize, like all ideas for all books, shock horror, it's not actually that original, because all fiction is to a degree fan fiction, and it's just a question of working out what you're fanning for this new book. And when I figured out where my idea has originated, I go back and I read those books. I think this is so important. It's like understanding where your idea comes from, and then what you're going to do, to borrow Claire's cheese analogy, to make that cheese sandwich a bit different.